Good morning. Welcome back to another episode of Mindfulness Moments. I attended a seminar this weekend, and while waiting in line, I talked with a friend who asked me some very specific questions about my practice, particularly my type of meditation, or the meditation that I do. It's not my type, versus, say, TM or some other forms of meditation that are out there. And I found this to be a very interesting question, a great question. And it also showed me that probably a number of you have this same question. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about Zazen. Zazen is the type of meditation that I practice. It has its roots in Soto Zen, Soto Buddhism, and excuse me, Zazen means just sitting. Shikantaza. Zazen means to sit. The type of practice we do is Shikantaza. So ultimately, there's no goal in the meditation. We're not meditating to achieve a higher level of consciousness, some sort of transcendental state. We are sitting to be in the present moment, to be with what is. So, though there's no real goal to the meditation, there are benefits. And the practice of returning, so taking the seated posture, returning to your breath, returning to your present moment, this can be carried out into the everyday life. So I'll give you an example in a minute. I just want to give you a basis. So ideally, you want to have a quiet space. You turn off your phone or put it on silent mode. You find a spot, a corner. Generally, in Shikantaza, we sit facing a wall and we keep our eyes open. We close them a little bit. You keep them slightly open and your gaze is at a 45-degree angle. I find one of the benefits of keeping the eyes slightly open is I tend to daydream less and I tend not to fall asleep. So a quiet space, a cushion to sit on if you can sit in the cross-legged position. Traditionally, full lotus, one foot on one side, one on the other. Can't do that, half lotus. You can also sit in a chair. The important thing is to have, so if you're sitting in a chair, your feet are on the ground, your back is straight. If you're seated on a cushion with your legs crossed, your hips are slightly elevated and your knees are touching the ground. This gives you a nice tripod point. Having the hips above the knees allows for a bit more circulation. Then we focus on a straight spine. Not a rigid spine, but a straight spine. So imagine you're just aligning all those vertebrae so they're nice and straight. The chin is in because that allows the spine to be connected. So this central nervous system can flow, and the ears over the shoulders. Hands in the cosmic mudra like so, the thumbs just barely touching. So Dogen Zenji, when he explains how to do Zazen, a lot of focus on the posture. Then you sway your body right and left to relax and settle in, releasing all tensions. You settle into this posture. And then we follow our breath. We don't control the breath. We follow, we notice. We also let thoughts go. We don't engage in them. We don't cling to them. We let them go. So we have this returning to the breath. So why posture? We live in these bodies. These bodies are our structure, our whatever you want to call it. When you're seated and you're aware in this moment where your breath is, where your tension is. Sometimes I said you focus with you have the thumbs like this. Sometimes you'll notice, you'll catch yourself caught in some sort of thought, and your thumbs will be pushing against each other, or you'll be holding tension in your knee. When you recognize that, you let it go. So we just sit in this posture. We follow the breath. We don't force the breath. We don't control the breath. If the breath wants to take a long time exhaling, or stay in an exhale before an inhale, that's what the breath wants to do. Okay? As we become more and more aware of this situation, as we continue to have this practice, we can take this out into our everyday lives, because our awareness of self, our awareness of breath, our awareness of body posture becomes that more tense. I don't know what the right word is for that one. So we're just going to follow the breath. No attachments, no goal. Consistency is important. More than length of time at sitting, consistency is very important, because that consistency is going to allow you, in an outside situation, in a situation where your mind is wandering, your body is tense, you can come back because you have this consistent practice. For time, if you were to go to a Zen center, you'd probably sit for 30 to 35 minutes. Okay? 5 to 10 in the beginning is fine. I want you to try it. I don't want you to think about time. I don't want you to think about, I have to sit 35 minutes. I have to sit this. I just want you to sit. Okay? The reason is that I say this is because I don't want you to have some sort of limiting thing and you want to keep checking your watch, or, oh, at 35 minutes, I got to, oh, but I have to take the trash out, and oh, I got to get to this train. No, just sit. Okay? Set a time, set a place. A clean environment, no distractions is best. So, practical aspect of this. So, I mentioned I was at the seminar and we were in line to go into one of the vents. Okay? Everyone in line had early access passes. So we had an hour and a half before anyone else came in. And the line wasn't that big. However, the people behind us, anytime you move the slightest bit, they were moving as if they were forcing us to the front and closer. And in this moment, I began to practice. I began to notice. I was holding tension in my thigh. I was wanting to push back. My body was becoming rigid. I began to perspire a little bit because it was closer. I also found annoyance coming up. And when I caught myself in this, I decided to laugh. And I decided to soften my gaze, return to my breath, relax the tension in my body, and just let it be. Being a territorial human, my judgmental mind came up. My mind to push back or to say, hey, what's the deal? They haven't opened the doors yet. Why do we need to keep pushing? But I didn't. I used this as an opportunity to practice. Now, why do I do this? The Buddha said, don't believe anything I say. Try it, and if it works for you, keep it. If it doesn't work, let it go. So, as someone who wants to live this practice, share this practice, one of my things is to also test the practice to see, is it working? Is it going to work? Does it do anything? And for me, it does. For you, I don't know. I'd love to hear how things work for you. I'd love for you to reach out. So, after we sit, so what I do, I set a timer and I don't look at it. I actually use an app called Zen Friend, and it has a bell to invite the beginning of the meditation. It has a timer in there. I set for 35 minutes, and then the bell to end my meditation. That way I don't have to concern myself with time. In the Zen centers, in monasteries, there is someone in control of the time, and they invite the bell to let us know. So it's a really easy way to just let go of time. And sometimes that 35 minutes goes like that. Other times, like yesterday morning, some of the longest 35 minutes I've experienced. My heart rate was way up. Didn't get much sleep, so my heart rate was way up. Mind was racing. You just keep coming back to the breath, and I was very aware that time was moving slowly. But those days are there, those moments are there, and other times they're not. So to just be in that and to know and to notice and recognize that that passes. These are the things we can take into our everyday life. So at the conclusion of the meditation, you kind of do that swaying back and forth, moving your hips around, softening your body before getting up. Some places will teach a counting of the breath, but um, where I spent most of my time practicing and how I practice now, it's just a following, a letting go, a releasing. I hope this is helpful. If you have any further questions about it, please leave a comment below. And I thank you again for always tuning in. I thank you for practicing. And remember, it is practice, it's not perfection. It's a work in progress, as we are. And see you next week.